Chris Barone, humans. Don't see much humans these days, Craig.
It's interesting because I walked by our top tables in between rounds last round.
Right.
There were a lot of different decks there.
Okay, that's good. I'm excited to hear that. I want to see what's out there.
I saw a Bloodbraid Elf in play.
Okay, don't expect that these days. Champion of the Parish is going to be the start for Barone. Meanwhile, Autumn, just 2 Moxes, that's all.
Almost Moxes.
Right. Yeah, no mana yet from those Moxes. Champion of the Parish going to get big fast. Up to a 3/3 already with the help of Thalia's Lieutenant, and the beats are coming. Autumn's going to fall to 17.
And this is what you need to do. You need to have that aggressive start.
Absolutely.
With the humans that grow, that get out of control early, and back it up with some disruption.
Yeah, also important diversifying your mana costs, and 1-drop, 2-drop better than a bunch of 1-drops.
Yeah, oh yeah. 4 engineered explosives.
Yep.
It's a good card.
Yes, it is. That is the sweeper we see these days, for sure. Autumn going to go ahead and fetch. Gets a breeding pool. Pithy Needle is the draw for Autumn. You can target Ether Vial with that. That's about it around these parts.
You can hope to snipe a land.
Sure. Here's the Pithy Needle. We'll figure out what that's naming.
I always get Pithing Needle and Phyrexian Revoker confused.
Oh, is Pithy Needle the non-land one?
We're about to find out.
Okay. You do some research, Craig. You get back to me. Sounds like this Pithy Needle is naming Horizon Canopy, so I would guess not.
Yeah, you can...
Just no mana abilities, right?
Correct. You can't stop mana abilities.
That's what I thought. Second Ancient Ziggurat is the play from Chris.
Oof.
Mantis Rider. The beats are coming fast. Champion of the Parish going to go to 4 power. Thalia's Lieutenant up to 2. And that means 9 points of damage headed Autumn's way.
Yeah, we see Autumn with this slower, clunkier draw. And they really need to have a turn where they go off here.
Yeah, they're down to 7 now. Ever-flowing Chalice in hand.
Wow.
And Autumn's just going to scoop them up. And that means Chris Barone up a game. Humans over Urza outcome.
That was quick.
That was real quick. Aggressive start from Chris. Kind of a clunky draw from Autumn. And that's what you get. A decisive victory for humans. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at what we're working with in the sideboard. We don't have graphics ready quite yet, but you can go ahead and take a look on Cardboard Live, and I'm happy to relay this information to you. In Autumn sideboard, they have 3 Path to Exile, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Mystical Dispute, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Nature's Claim, 2 Veil of Summer, 1 Ashiok Dream Render, 2 Oko Thief of Crowns, and a Hallowed Fountain. And this is a sideboard which very much is reflective of this new age. You don't play really hard targeting of humans anymore. People just don't account for this deck the same way they used to.
No, but there's still definitely relevant cards in this sideboard that Autumn can bring in. The Path to Exiles are going to be very good. A lot of times you just care about that first wave of humans, and you don't mind so much giving them a land in the mid-game. So Path to Exile is super effective at that. Oko is another just very effective card. You can plop down a 3/3 elk on defense early, and then turning specific problem humans into elk in the mid-game is just super effective.
Oko's so good in so many matchups, including this one. It looks like Autumn has pulled out 5 cards, so I think Path to Exile Oko makes a lot of sense here. Meanwhile, over on Chris's side, we are looking at a sideboard of 1 Gaddock Teague, 2 Deputy of Detention, 1 Knight of Autumn, 1 Plague Engineer, 2 Dismember, 2 Collector Roof, 3 Auriok Champion, and 3 Ravenous Trap. Craig, what do you want to do if you're the humans player?
So this is tough because I'm sure Chris does not know he's against the Paradoxical Outcome version of the deck, which would change my sideboarding maybe 1 or 2 cards.
Sure.
But a lot of the cards are just obvious anyway. You're going to bring in a ton of these cards here. The Collector Oof's great. The Knight of Autumn, you're playing against Autumn. It might turn on you mid-game.
It's true. Never know.
But you're bringing in that card. The Deputy of Detention I like as well. And then the Gaddock Teague, super powerful effect if you know that they're... Yeah, you might bring it in anyway.
Yeah, I think so. With Engineered Explosives, it just seems like a slam dunk.
Sure, yeah, against the Explosives, most of the decks have Cryptic Command, which you would want to stop. This deck, it's Paradoxical Outcome. So a lot of cards can come in for Autumn here.
So assuming Autumn did bring in Oko, Thief of Crowns, there is a chance that they are able to turn the Knight of Autumn onto their side. That is what I'll be watching for.
Steal it?
Yes, very closely this game. That's what I'd really like to see happen.
Thematically, it's just too good?
Yes. That's what I wish for every time we come down to the feature match area, some kind of thematic reward.
Yeah, I really want to just see Autumn go clean off on turn 2 or 3.
It's been a minute since we've seen Paradoxical Outcome do its thing.
Yeah, where it's just a bunch of mocks and the Emery comes down on 1 and then Paradoxical Outcome on 3 for almost the whole deck. You know, you just chain one into another one and go from there.
Sounds pretty good to me. Well, Craig, I have to ask, have you heard the news yet?
I've heard the news.
You've heard the news?
Yes.
So you know that Living End is in fact back from the dead. You know that, right?
Living End is back from the dead.
Yeah, see right there. In the newsletter, it says Living End is back from the dead.
Look at that young child.
A young man.
In that picture.
With still his brightest days ahead of him, once said these words.
Just barely pubescent there.
And now I am like 33 in that picture, so hopefully I had hit puberty by that point.
No, you're rocking a lot of facial hair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had made it safely. But Star City Games newsletter, not only your place for updates on my pubescent status, but also highlights from some of our best articles, upcoming SCG tour dates and locations, SCG Invitational qualifiers, and of course game nights near you. Best part, you can sign up for free. Go.starcitygames.com/newsletter.
You think they're just never going to change that graphic?
I'm assuming not. It's been there forever at this point.
And somehow I did know that Living End was back from the dead.
What if that is just the newsletter they send out every week? It's just constantly you're being told how Living End is back from the dead.
I hope so.
Man, I would be pretty sick of that newsletter by this point. It's not that. It's a fresh newsletter every time. You should check it out. Good place to get a sneak peek of some of our articles. Autumn going to be on the play this game. They're going to start cracking Polluted Delta, going to get a breeding pool. Food on the battlefield, I assume a goose is close behind. There it is.
It's loose.
Goose is loose, and the turn passes back to Chris Barone.
So scanning over Autumn's deck list again, I should note that this Hallowed Fountain in the sideboard is going to be coming into the deck in order to turn on the Path to Exiles that we think came in.
Sure. Ether Vial for Chris. The preferred start of all humans players.
Yep.
Here's a Mishra's Bauble from Autumn. Autumn just going to go ahead and send the turn back to Chris. Chris takes a draw. It's like a Dismember draw there. Wants to be able to account for those Urzas. Do you see Knight of Autumn in hand as well? Thalia's Lieutenant, Reflector Mage. A lot of lands.
Yeah, this is an awkward hand for Chris. If the game is kind of slow and clunky, he does have those Horizon lands that he can cash in for more action. But over the first 3 or 4 turns, he's going to need those to, cast his spells and vial something into play. This is kind of an interesting turn where he has to think about whether or not he wants to kill the goose with this Dismember.
Looks like the answer is no. Just going to pass the turn back. Not the same blistering start here for Chris. Autumn going to take the opportunity to put a second food token into play.
Yeah, now they're considering this bauble.
No, Bauble's going to stay on the battlefield. Autumn takes a draw. Four mana. How about an Urza? Chris with a prompt response.
Oh, yeah.
Going to go ahead, fire off the Dismember. Pretty happy to have that one around. Bet he's glad he didn't cash it in on the goose.
Well, and I think Chris has the Reflector Mage in his hand. This is going to be a real clean turn for Chris.
Yeah, clean up that construct. Draws another land, does Chris.
This is a lot of lands.
Yes, it is. Ether Vial is up to 2. Looks like we're deciding whether we want to play Ziggurat or one of those waterlogged groves. Chris decides on Grove. Here comes Thalia's Lieutenant. Here comes Reflector Mage. Interesting, prioritizing making Thalia's Lieutenant bigger rather than the Reflector Mage.
Yeah, I guess Chris just wants to spread the power out a little bit more. Next turn, if you're able to go 3-drop, 3-drop, that Lieutenant's going to be pretty big.
Sure.
And I like this. Chris is giving this good long think. I mean, to me, the easy choice is the construct, but there's reasons to think about that goose.
Yeah, I think so. If you believe restricting Autumn's mana would be meaningful on that turn, you can make the case. But it is ultimately going to be the construct. Autumn's going to go ahead and crack that bauble. Takes a look at the top card. And they take the turn back. Takes a draw. Takes a second draw. Engineered Explosives, Path to Exile. Decent draws there.
Yeah, fetch land to go with it.
Very nice. Autumn's hand pretty reactive here. That's okay exactly until it's not, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, if Autumn has some action and gets the wheels turning a little bit, it's nice to be able to break up the pressure from the opponent. But if all you're doing is pathing and pathing, you're actually turning on the fetch lands on the opponent's side, not the horizon lands. And in the meantime, you're not doing anything. So even these so-so mediocre creatures, just 2-power creatures, are just going to keep piling on.
Right. We see in Chris's hand, Knight of Autumn at the ready. The dream is alive, Craig. It could happen. Knight of Autumn might join Autumn's side. Crack that first Waterlogged Grove. Found a champion of the parish. It's going to go ahead and grow the Lieutenant.
This is turning into a good turn for Chris.
Yes, it is. Waterlogged Grove going to be tapped. I believe that's a Noble Hierarch in Chris's hand, ready to come down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lieutenant gets a little bit bigger. Champion of the parish gets a little bit bigger. And all of a sudden, Chris has a battlefield working.
Yeah, this is significant pressure.
Knight of Autumn still rolled up.
Yep, the Knight is still there. It's going to grow these champions even bigger.
And with 2 1-drops, a 2-drop, and a 3-drop, mana costs are appropriately diversified for Chris. Big dice only around these parts. Get those small dice out of here. Autumn is going to fetch here.
Don't show up with your tokens from home or your little dice.
Right. We got you. Path to Exile on Thalia's Lieutenant. Chris going to go get a basic. Two basics in Craig's list. In Chris's list, I'm sorry.
It's my list now.
I want to see you play so badly, Craig. I'm trying to throw you down to the feature match area.
I would never pass up being up here with you.
Liar.
Just the two of us.
Liar. Now, there's something special about watching the Invitational this way.
A little surprised by this chump block out of the goose. It just seems like there's still... You know, knowing that Autumn has engineered explosives.
Well, I would guess that means engineered explosives
we're
for one,
playing it
right?
for one. I just, Come on, Craig.
And there you see 1 mana. It's okay. You're a standard expert now, Craig. Coming off a big performance at the Pro Tour.
I was a limited expert at the Pro Tour, I'll tell you that.
I've been there. That's like the one edge us old guys still have, right? Our limited games are still strong. Gotta lean on that.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, that's the one edge I have. Maybe you got more edges than that. I'm tapped out on edges.
No, I just feel like the kids have just caught up with us everywhere.
Probably true. It's time for that Night of Autumn to come down.
Yeah, I think we're just going big.
Yeah, a couple counters there.
Yep, and while the vial is tapped, we'll clean up the board.
Makes sense to me.
But yeah, this is still a decent clock on Chris's side.
Yeah, still has that Waterlog Grove as well to get another card.
Still a Horizon Land.
Ooh, Kite Sail Freebooter.
Freebooter's interesting. All right, we'll start by drawing a card.
Makes sense. Get all your options. Didn't quite catch that one. Play's going to be Kite Sail Freebooter. I believe Autumn with Path in hand.
Yep.
They have to decide if they want to spend that. They do. And it was Autumn that turned on the Night of Autumn, sending it to exile. Didn't see that twist coming.
Just a little in-house fighting going on.
All right.
Yep.
Autumn says, you have completed your nightly duty. Get gone. Now Autumn with no cards in hand. Facing down not the most deadly battlefield, but...
Sure, they're each a little dry, but Chris's certainly has some clock, and Autumn is going to need to find a real card in the next 2 to 3 draw steps here.
I agree with you. Can fetch a Mystic Sanctuary at some point. We should note that. Buy back a Path to Exile, possibly, if it's needed. It's the attack from Chris. Looks like Cavern of Souls blank. Just going to pass the turn back. Leads me to believe it's almost certainly a land.
Yeah, it's got to be another land in Chris's hand.
Could be like a second Dismember, but we'll see. Autumn at 9 now. Back up to 12. Food cashed in. Spends a mana. Has a goose. Okay.
And
I mean, that beats this clock.
Exactly. This is just a state of equilibrium for Autumn, where they have all the time they need until Chris deploys another threat. The goose is so
incredible.
Good.
Incredible. It doesn't seem this good on its face, but it really, truly is. Goose going to do some blocking, gain a lot of life this game. Thalia enters the battlefield for Chris. It's not going to pinch mana anymore. Autumn's got plenty of that.
And this might be the play you were talking about. Fetch up the Mystic Sanctuary, get the Path to Exile, keep the board in a state of equilibrium.
Here is Mystic Sanctuary. Yeah, Autumn pretty happy to just stretch this one out. And that goose is going to get to work making plenty of food. And Path to Exile is on top.
Looks like Paradoxical Outcome in hand.
Okay. Well, that could do some work. Here's Path on Kite Sail Freebooter. That makes sense with Paradoxical Outcome in hand. Just prioritizing getting a bunch of cards at some point. Here comes Mox Opal.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that line because it feels like Autumn is so far from. I guess you could just Paradoxical.
Just PO for 4. Yeah, I mean, what's the odds you totally blank on that? You can return the foods, right? Craig's going to do some research. We'll get back to you on that. Cards are weird these days, Craig. Remember they're just like creatures?
Non-land, non-token.
Non-token?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I thought it was.
So you can't target the
That's
food.
why this line was a little strange to me.
Okay, I agree. It is a little strange.
I feel like if you path the Thalia and you stay in your just point of equilibrium where you've got the goose making a food, you take 2, you can gain 3 every single turn. You have lots of time to take a few more draw steps, get some other cards on the board. I feel like with this line, your hand is really getting forced to do this right away.
Here's Deputy of Detention. That's going to come down via a Cavern Naming Wizard. That's going to grab the goose. Turn passes back to Autumn. Really looking for like an Arkham's Astrolabe. Something with multiple draws attached to it. Seemingly finding nothing, though.
Urza, I think, would just be this huge brick wall on this board.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have an Urza. Autumn now at a precarious 5.
Yeah, lots of food over there.
Virtual 14. Here come the attacks. Autumn is going to crack one of those foods. And takes 5. Going to fall to 3 now.
Yeah, another reason to path the Thalia is that it's just going to be a problematic card if you ever try to chain,
go off,
paradoxical outcome into a couple other spells.
Sure. Couple mana taps here. Meddling Mage. We will find out what this is naming. This is a big call for Chris.
And yeah, Chris
naming Urza.
Yeah, that's a great call.
Yep.
There's not a lot of cards that Autumn can peel here that are going to stabilize this board.
Yeah, and I think after that name, Autumn going to cash in yet another food. They go to 6. Facing down a real clock now. It's the best draw here for Autumn.
Well, it was Urza.
All right, not anymore.
Maybe Psi Master Thopterist.
Feels a little mana squeezed, I think.
Well, it's a card that would buy, another turn, and then a lot of your draws are going to produce Thopters, which can turn into more cards and block along the way.
All right. Well, here comes the attack from Chris. 7 damage headed Autumn's way.
And it's just sacrifice food.
Rises up to 9. Takes 7, falls to 2.
So watching this match, to me, the striking part is that the humans deck felt like it had more velocity going on. Autumn sides in a decent amount of removal and answers to opposing threats, and then they draw a lot of those cards, which seems good, but they don't have any sort of velocity where they're chaining cards into other cards.
Right.
And Chris was able to sacrifice multiple lands to draw extra cards throughout this game and just keep some pressure on the board throughout.
Autumn taps 3 mana. It looks like there's that Psi you were talking about.
I think it's a turn late.
Psi Master Thopterist, and Autumn just passes the turn back. Is Chris going to shove with everyone?
More free cards.
Yeah. Nice when your mana base draws you 3 cards. Collector Oof, I think, was the draw. Yeah. Now everyone is going to attack.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that this isn't it.
Autumn wants to block Thalia. Taps 2 mana. Nature's Claim. Gain 4, go to 6, take 5.
All right. I mean, it's still staring down this board where there's a Meddling Mage, there's a Collector Roof, there's a lot of power spread over a bunch of different creatures. Autumn does buy another turn, but I'm not sure it's actually progress.
Yeah, it needs a wild draw here. I can't think of one, quite frankly. But let's see. Autumn takes a peek at the top card. We're reaching for mana.
So I kind of wish Chris had waited on that Noble Hierarch.
Okay.
There are enough creatures in Chris's deck that get bonuses, for playing a human.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he wants the mana, and his board is plenty wide to crash in to finish off this last point of damage.
So Autumn drew Mox Opal. It's okay. I mean, you're doing something here. Now cast this PO.
Yeah, this is kind of funny. Give me my card.
There is Paradoxical Outcome. I think they're debating whether to return Psy right now.
Yeah, I don't know what would get Autumn out of this situation.
Draws their card.
Yeah, 2 more artifacts is
4 blockers. We're alive.
Yeah, this actually does buy another turn.
Can also cash in some blockers to draw a card.
Exactly, yep.
Are we doing it? This would be an incredible comeback.
This is just talk about fighting from the back foot. This is insane. So Chris is going to send everyone into the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
Autumn's going to line up blocks. Sacrifice.
One on everyone.
Yep, sacrifice the 3 Thopters and then one of...
No, only 2 Thopters getting sacked there.
Oh, is it 2 to activate Psy?
Yes.
Okay, it's been a while since...
Yeah, I don't blame you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, there's too many cards in the format.
Here's Arkham's Astrolabe. That's going to draw a card. I saw Engineered Explosives in hand as well. Can't be activated with Collector Roof on the battlefield, but can make another Thopter.
Yeah, a lot of these cards are just a tease with this battlefield.
Yeah. But we're doing something. We were ready to throw in the towel here, Craig. Autumn just barely hanging on. Emery. Four meaningless ones. Although there's only 1 PO left in the deck.
I was about
now.
to say 2 POs is actually huge.
Yeah.
Autumn really wanted to survive one more turn, PO, pick up a ton of cards, and then have Psy on the board when they just redeploy all these artifacts.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another Psy activation. These 2 Moxes are going to hit the bin. Nope. Looks like 1 Mox. Nope. Engineered Explosives.
No Mox.
Engineered Explosives plus Astrolabe. Astrolabe makes sense. Drew an Urza.
Still Meddling Mage there.
Okay. Okay. But a lot of things could unlock here. Is there still a Mystic Sanctuary in the deck?
I don't know, but so Autumn can't crack a fetch land at 1.
Right.
That's a big problem.
Right. Yeah, a lot of problems.
And they really just needed 1 more blocker this turn so that they could double block the Meddling Mage, get it off the board, open up that Urza.
Yep. Meanwhile, on Chris's side, the draws have gotten cold. Another Noble Hierarch. This time does not play it, just passes the turn back to Autumn.
So I think things have changed enough.
Where you want to play it?
Yeah, so Autumn...
For Thalia's Lieutenant?
Exactly. Autumn's at 1, so if you ever draw Thalia's Lieutenant, it's another lethal attacker on the board.
I buy it. Here's an Emery activation. That's going to let Astrolabe be cast. Autumn takes a draw. Autumn's playing with a little fervor now.
Yeah, I think they have...
They have a chance.
The fire,
yeah.
Right? Where you think you're just getting clobbered, and you scrape and claw, and maybe you find a way to actually get back in this game.
Yeah, here's another Emery activation. See that Urza in hand just taunting Autumn. Oh, and I'm afraid we hit the wall, Craig. I see a bunch of lands. I see the Urza.
Yep.
Time for another Psi activation. Autumn found a bauble.
This, if you're Chris, this is where you say finally.
Yeah. And that is going to get the handshake from Autumn and Chris Barone. 2-0. Humans over Urza outcome. And Chris now 7-0 at the Star City Games Invitational. A huge